So, what would a war with Iran actually look like? It's one of those questions that keeps world leaders up at night. It's one of the planet's most dangerous flashpoints, and honestly, the fallout could be global. In this explainer, we're going to walk through a very realistic scenario, not just the who and the why, but the how it could all go down, and what it would mean for every single one of us. That one word, just repeated over and over, it cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? When you look at the incredibly complex web of Middle Eastern geopolitics, Iran is kind of like the gravitational center of almost every single conflict. So to really get what's at stake here, we have to go past the headlines and just imagine a scenario. Okay, so imagine this. It's the year 2026. After years and years of tension just simmering below the surface, it finally happens. The United States and Israel launch a series of coordinated strikes against Iran. The first missiles have hit. So, what happens next? In the hours, the days, the weeks that follow? That is the big question we are tackling today. In our scenario, those first strikes are absolutely devastating. And they're not just aimed at military bases. No, they target the very heart of the regime, including the supreme leader himself. Iran's response is swift, and it is furious. And it's not just aimed at Israel. Suddenly, American assets all across the region are under attack. The conflict isn't contained. It is exploding into a full-blown regional firestorm. But to really wrap your head around why this scenario spirals out of control so quickly, you have to understand the nation at its center. Because before you can even begin to understand Iran's politics or its military might, you have to understand its geography and its epic, epic scale. Right. First things first, forget the country you think you see on a map. Iran is enormous. I mean, it is larger than France, Germany, and Spain combined. And that's not just a fun little factoid, it's a fundamental strategic reality. Trying to invade or occupy a nation of this sheer size, well, that's a monumental military challenge. And we're not talking about empty land here. It is home to 90 million people. To put that in perspective, that is more than double the population of Iraq back when the 2003 invasion happened. This isn't just a chessboard for military strategy. It's a massive, proud nation. And that adds a human dimension of resistance that complicates any military calculation you can think of. And this land is practically a natural fortress. You've got these towering mountain ranges like the Alborz and Zagros that carve the country into these really defensible pockets. Then you have vast, punishing salt deserts that create impassable barriers. And of course, its long strategic coastline on the Persian Gulf offers both huge opportunities and major vulnerabilities. For centuries, this very terrain has acted as a weapon, defending empires from invaders. So that geography, that's the stage. But the modern drama playing out on it, well, that was written by history. To really get Iran's rivalries today, we have to go back to a single transformative event that changed absolutely everything. Everything, and I mean everything, hinges on the year 1979. The Islamic Revolution wasn't just some internal event. It was an earthquake that completely redrew the geopolitical map of the entire Middle East. The fall of the Shah and the rise of Ayatollah Khomeini's Islamic Republic instantly created the bitter rivalries that define the region to this very day. And these are the new fault lines. The United States, which had been an ally of the Shah, was suddenly dubbed the Great Satan. Israel, once a partner, became this ideological foe whose very existence Tehran rejected. And right at the center of this whole triangular conflict is Iran's nuclear program, a program they claim is for peace, but which its enemies believe is a quest for the ultimate weapon. So facing these incredibly powerful adversaries, Iran knew it couldn't compete head-on, so it developed a very clever and very dangerous strategy. It decided its best defense was a good offense, not by waiting for a fight on its own soil, but by exporting the fight to its enemies, far beyond its own borders. Part one of that strategy is the hardware. Iran has invested a ton into a really formidable arsenal of ballistic missiles and advanced drones. And this technology gives them reach. U.S. bases across the Middle East, all of Israel, they are all well within striking distance. But the hardware is only half the story. The second, and you could argue more crucial part of the strategy, is what's known as the axis of resistance. Now, this is not a formal alliance. It's more of a shadow network of proxy groups that Iran arms, funds, and advises. They are Iran's forward defense. They're designed to bog down its enemies and project its influence across the entire region. And the reach of this network is staggering. You've got Hezbollah in Lebanon with its massive rocket arsenal pointed right at Israel, all the way to the Houthis in Yemen, who threaten global shipping. This strategy means an attack on Iran is never just an attack on Iran. It instantly becomes a multi-front war, activating this entire network of proxies all at the same time. This regional military strategy, it doesn't stay regional. Oh no. Its shockwaves would be felt globally, especially in the one place everyone understands, the economy. A war in the Persian Gulf wouldn't just be some distant story on the news, it would hit wallets and households thousands of miles away. So let's get specific. How exactly does a conflict thousands of miles away affect your daily life? The answer flows through two of the most important and most vulnerable stretches of water on the entire planet. This is the Strait of Hormuz, the planet's most critical choke point for oil. Think of it as the jugular vein of the global energy supply. And Iran sits right there on its northern shore, with its hand on the tap. At its narrowest point, the strait is only 39 kilometers, that's about 24 miles wide. That's short enough to make any tanker passing through an easy target for missiles on the shore, drones, or swarms of small attack boats. This vulnerability is Iran's ultimate trump card in any conflict. The numbers here are just staggering. A fifth of the entire world's oil and gas supply passes through this tiny gap. But it's not just about fuel for your car. Nearly a third of the world's urea, which is a key component in fertilizer, also sails right through here. You disrupt that, and you're not just creating a gas crisis, you're threatening the global food supply. And Iran's chokeholds isn't limited to Hormuz. Further south, you have the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which is the gateway to the Suez Canal. This second critical choke point sits right next to territory controlled by Iran's allies, the Houthis, who have shown again and again that they are willing to attack international shipping. So the economic result is predictable, and it's devastating. With these choke points closed, or even just threatened, the cost of shipping and insurance would skyrocket, oil prices would surge, the entire flow of global trade would seize up, almost certainly triggering rampant inflation and a deep worldwide recession. Okay, so let's say the shooting eventually stops, and the immediate economic shock starts to wear off. What's left? The aftermath of a conflict like this wouldn't be a clean victory for anyone. It would be a messy, unresolved new chapter of instability, and potentially even more dangerous than what came before. The hard reality is that just stopping the fighting doesn't solve the problem. The core tensions that started the war in the first place would still be there, and they'd probably be even worse. A battered Iran would become even more isolated, more paranoid, and potentially more aggressive. A war wouldn't be an endpoint. It would just be planting the seeds for the next conflict. And that leaves us with a final, pretty sobering question. This scenario is a stark reminder that in our modern world, there is no such thing as a truly regional conflict. A flashpoint in one corner can set the entire map ablaze. So, in a world this interconnected and this fragile, what is the real path to lasting stability?